I'm really struggling to understand how it is that we find it so difficult to find the nuance in the arguments. You know what I mean? Like, we tend to go for one reaction or the other as long as it elicits some type of emotion. It seems like that's the key. But we forget all the logic. Now, I'm not particularly Spock, and I'm not particularly given to giant bouts of logical discourse. I tend to be pretty emotional myself, but we are so off the reservation with the amount of emotion that we attach to any argument that we can't even see things logically at all. No clarity of argumentation, no nuance at all whatsoever, it seems like to me. So I'm hoping to delve into basically one thing that pisses me off every week about some stupid argument that we need to have about something that we don't actually even need to have, because the argument is completely lost with all the banter and the positioning. We're choosing one side or the other, and we get so entrenched in the side that we forget what the point is. It's like choosing your favorite sports team. It doesn't matter if your team sucks, you're still rooting for them. Okay, good. I'm not arguing with that. But if your team is sucking and they got their asses kicked by the other team, we tend to want to see that the other team was actually the bad guy. Instead of saying, look, we didn't play our best game. The other guys beat us. They were better. Like, maybe some people would do that, but by and large, we're not prone for that. We root for the other guy to fall and fumble and screw everything up, and we win based on his mistake, and we still celebrate it as though we're amazing. So, you know what? Maybe for sports, that's okay. I don't know. But somehow we have completely transferred that same sort of level of fanaticism into arguments that actually affect our day to day life, into the shit that actually matters in terms of how we handle society, in terms of how we handle our workplace, in terms of how we handle how we talk to each other. So we miss some of the nuance in there, and we go right to kill mode as long as we know which side the argument is attached to, right? Like, there's so many examples of this. This is like as frivolous as just not being able to discern a fact because a study is so biased on one way because it's financed by a particular company. So it's pro caffeine, for example. Just made that up. It's a pro caffeine study paid by the Coffee Council. I don't know if such a thing exists. Okay, so or by the people who make Red Bull. I don't know, by somebody who's pro caffeine. So they come up with the three things that are wonderful about caffeine, and that's great because now we have a pro caffeine study, and caffeine is great for you. Okay, well, maybe it is, and maybe there are some things that it's okay for, and that it's great for, and that it has some benefits. But then if we see the benefits, we can't possibly delve into a conversation about the detriments, because you're either pro or against. You're with us or you're against us. And this is so stupid. It's so stupid for so many reasons, but the primary one is that it means that we have lost our ability to think critically for ourselves about just about every fucking thing. And it means that we've also decided to leverage the same argumentation style in choosing our friends or acquaintances, and the people that we listen to. You listen to Fox or you listen to CNN, or you don't listen to any of it because it's all bullshit. I mean, like, we can't find the nuance. And so what I'm hoping to be able to do is kind of call out the different sides and say, hey guys, maybe if we focus on finding the truth. Now, truth, right? Is there objective truth? There's your side, there's my side, there's probably what's in the middle. And actually, if we're going to be real honest about this, there's probably a side that can be angled in any number of ways. Ever since marketing became a thing, ever since Hollywood became a thing, we became really, really excellent at finding how to leverage things from a position and skip the actual facts or truths, which may be contrary to what our popular opinion is, or to what the thing that we're trying to sell or trying to promote or trying to ideate. And now make that 1,000 times worse because now we're driving for likes. So you have clickbait everywhere. 100 million, oh God, I can't even come up with an example. Spend 5 minutes on YouTube. You'll see some thumbnail that looks amazing and it's complete horseshit. And you'll see some words that are completely outrageous. And then you listen to the argument, and they said one maybe outrageous thing, but the rest of it might have been valid, or the rest of it might have just been absolute bunk and bullshit, but it wasn't as outrageous as they pinned it to be. And you spend, I don't know, 5 minutes watching C-SPAN. And we don't listen to C-SPAN because it's biased. What the hell? Biased. They turn on a camera, they let it play for 12 hours, and you see what you see. So you listen to C-SPAN and you listen to what's actually being said in Congress. Like, you spend the entire 5 hours listening to them rumble and mumble and say all kinds of horseshit, and you'll see the tendency to create a 45-second soundbite, the 60-second soundbite filled with a bunch of other horseshit and nonsense and a bunch of other argumentation. But I got that 45-second clip, which is going to be amazing, because when I use that 45-second clip on my Twitter account or the X account or my Instagram or my TikTok or my YouTube, or when the news outlets pick it up, that's what's going to make the news cycle. And skip the entirety of the rest of the argument that went before and after, and what everything said before and after, because the only thing that matters is that you paid attention to that one teeny tiny little piece that was so enraging and that was so motivating and that was so, I don't know, polarizing, that it sparks you into action, sparks us into action, and now we're outraged. And is that actually what was said? Sometimes it is, but by and large, tune in, pay attention, read the entirety of it. That's a whole other Oprah, isn't it? Read the entirety of the argument, pay attention to what's happening on either side, and see, is that actually how it played down? And can we stay out of our own emotion long enough? I don't know that we can. I mean, I know that we used to be able to watch some news clips from the 40s or 50s, listen to the interviews of the man on the street, listen to how people communicated and thought about stuff. It's entirely different. They weren't speaking in sound bites trying to just get a response. They were speaking sort of more authentically. They were speaking from a place of, particular nuance. Now, I'm not saying that everything that they did was right. Clearly it wasn't. Tons of examples of stupid thing there too. But we've gone so far to one direction about really zooming in on what the most juicy, salient, clickable part of the argument is, that we miss the entire fucking point of what it is that we're supposed to be enraged about. But we have our rage, so that's great, isn't it? Come on, man. What we need as a society, in order to exist well together, in order to move forward, in order to be able to get out of this funk that we're in order to figure out how to solve for crime, in order to figure out how to solve for poverty, in order to figure out how to punish the idiots, in order how to elevate the good guys, in order how to do any of that stuff, we have got to put a big pause, big giant timeout on every argument and listen to it and say, okay, but is that for the greater good? Okay, but does that make holistic sense? Okay, but how does that play out? And if we look at the argument from one side and we say, okay, I've heard what that side is and I 100% agree with it. Great. What does the other guy argue? What is his point? Don't just listen to it. What does he have to say? Okay, now you've heard what he says, stupid and outrageous, and you've heard what you agree with, fantastical and great. Now imagine a third position. Step out of yourself for a minute and imagine a third position and say, okay, if not all of this was true and not all of that was true, or not all of this was a lie and not all of that was a lie, what could some other alternatives be? And if we do that, we're probably going to get to a place where we can figure out that the way to fight crime isn't to put everybody who commits a crime in jail. It's to figure out how to get to them before they commit a crime so that they don't want to commit a crime. The only way that we're going to get people out of poverty or out of whatever your favorite topic is to figure out the root cause. And in order to hear the root cause, you got to get out of your attachment to figuring out, to be angry at the person who got into that position to begin with. And that takes nuance, and that takes the ability to pan out. Listen, there's all kinds of shit that just makes me crazy all day long, every day. On the next episode, I'm going to talk about the first thing that makes me fucking nuts, and that's the bring your whole self to work. Really bring your whole self to work? I don't think so. We'll talk more about that in the next episode. But for now, there's lots of stuff that has made us this way. And I don't mean like, some big organized attempt to make us not be able to argue, although somebody could argue that and I'd probably listen to it because it's probably got a lot of validity to it. But I mean about the ability to communicate clearly has been, I don't know that we know how to do that by and large. I mean, we're limited to 140 characters and our communication policies are tweeted out or X'd out or whatever, and people listen to that, and that's the whole truth of it without skipping maybe some of the background info or knowledge. But we go from one extreme to the other so fast that sometimes even in the same argument. Let's go back to my hypothetical caffeine. Caffeine is great for you. No, caffeine is terrible for you. And now you have two lobbies hating each other instead of saying, all right, maybe to some extent it's good and to some extent it's bad. And maybe for you three, it's super terrible. And for you three, actually, you could use some more of it. That there's lots of gray in between. There's very few things that I think are super black and white. I think there's a whole world of gray in between. So welcome to the Flip Report. We're going to talk about what shit people are saying out there where they flip-flop back and forth on their positions, where we have policies put into action that have actually no relevance to the thing that they were intended to control or manage, but they sounded good when they tweeted it, or they sounded good when they got the public riled up about it, but actually ends up counter to the thing. And there's tons of topics on this. There's tons of marketing about this. There's tons of discussions on this. We're in our face. Now, gaslighting has become popular, so maybe it's gaslighting. In our face, somebody will tell us the sky is green, and we'll look up and we'll be like, damn, you're right, the sky is green because he told me it's green. No, bro. Or, you know what? Or maybe it is because you're in some place that's hitting a tornado, and so for you the sky is green. Everybody else probably not so much. So tune in if you're interested in hearing about this stuff. If you're not, just click off and piss off. That's cool. We don't have to have an agreement on this. You can agree, you can disagree, you don't have to leave it. Or maybe you can, because that'll view my algorithm. I don't know, bro. But the idea here is that we need some time to sort of chat about stuff in a way that's peaceful, in a way I don't sound peaceful like ever, because I'm just, I'm excited about some of these things, but in a way that's respectful, in a way that allows us to see multiple sides and just sort of be able to envision that maybe maybe there's more than the absolute fact on one side. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it is the absolute fact, but we're not going to find out if we don't look for it. So I'm going to pick some topics that I think are interesting. If you've got a topic that you think are interested, and if I can find something on it that I would agree to, then I'll cover that one. Leave a comment about what you'd like to see sort of discussed on from both sides. And don't pick anything outrageous like pedophilia. Fuck those guys. You know what? If you're a pedophile, fuck off. So no, I'm not here to say that there's absolute all or not. I'm saying we need to stop and sort of take a look at what the arguments are so that we can get better nuanced conversations every day in our daily life, in our work policies, in our news cycle, so that generally we can just be nicer people, because that's the bottom line. Like, if we're running around being assholes because we're so entrenched in our positions, I just don't think that makes for good, I don't know, Thanksgiving dinners, and it doesn't make for a good workplace, and it doesn't make for a good society. And certainly where we are, where we're so busy entrenched in our position, we're so busy being hard and tough and wanting to show how smart or taller, stronger, faster, leaner it is that we are than everybody, we're skipping the entirety of the point of having contact with other humans, and that is to get to understand what their position is, to like it or dislike it or whatever, but just to at least hear it and form an argument based on some coherent, I don't know, articulable, substantive, nuanced points and discussions, so that you're more informed, and so we make for a better society. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about. Hopefully you dig it, because there's lots of this shit going on like all the time. So I'll see you the next time. Thanks for joining me and listening. If you stayed this far, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever. Leave me a comment if you've got something to say. Subscribe if you're in the mood for it, and I'll talk to you soon.